All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have another story about Kathleen Kennedy, and this one just came out from the story we had about Leslie Headland when it came to the Acolyte. Now, it seems like these women are trying to do the old form of marketing that just doesn't work anymore. And what is that called? Well, quite simply, attacking the fans, especially male fans, or mostly male fans, I should say, in this scenario. So we have an article here from That Park Place with a headline that reads, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy plays victim and says that female Star Wars creatives get attacked in ways that can be quite personal due to the fan base being so male dominated. Now, the funny thing about this is that they finally admit that Star Wars is in fact male dominated, because anytime they're trying to talk about it in a positive light, they'll try to pretend like that's not the case. But when it comes to negativity, when it comes to attacking the fans and the male fan base, that's when they want to finally admit that it is in fact male dominated.
I like to make men uncomfortable.
Now, the weird thing is with the Acolyte, right? I just don't understand the constant need to want to attack people before the show comes out. They have to admit that after a certain point, this stuff is not working. Like I said in my last video about Leslie Headland, this stuff worked back in 2016 all the way up to probably 2020. And then after that, it was a slow and steady decline where attacking people was not the form of marketing that was going to work anymore. And perhaps they do it because it's free. Perhaps they do it because it's cheap. It doesn't really cost anything. They could just come out and make wild statements and get people like myself or articles to write about it and give them free press. Perhaps, maybe that's a thing. But ultimately, if that's the case and they thought that getting free press was going to help them, then why do all their TV shows keep failing? Clearly, it's not working that way. Clearly, you're only helping to bolster the narrative of people who are against you. And that's why this form of marketing needs to stop. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy attempted to promote the company's upcoming Star Wars The Acolyte series by playing the victim and claiming that female Star Wars creatives are attacked in personal ways because the fan base is so male dominated. Now, this is something they've been trying to run with for a while now, okay? And this is the reason why they didn't like when people didn't appreciate Rey being the ultimate Mary Sue. They thought that by making Rey the all-encompassing, powerful person that she was in Star Wars without any work or history or backstory whatsoever, it clearly shows that they have a certain mindset that just doesn't align with the majority of fans. And this is why their viewership keeps dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And Kathleen Kennedy being the helm of Lucasfilm for such a long time just goes to show that you can continue to fail upward in Hollywood and be perfectly fine. You can fail upward as long as you have the right protections, and you will be okay. Nobody will ever take you out of it. But truthfully, and this is my own little conspiracy, but I really genuinely believe that Kathleen Kennedy has dirt on most of the people over there at Lucasfilm or Disney, and this is how she's been able to keep her position, even though Star Wars has completely tanked from what it used to be. It says in an interview with the New York Times to promote the show, Kennedy said, "My belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people. That's an easy decision for me. I'm sure it is." She continued operating within these giant franchises now. With the social media and level of expectation, it's terrifying. I think Leslie has struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more. Because of the fan base being so male-dominated, they sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. Well, here's the thing. You guys, if you're getting attacked, that means you're doing something wrong, most likely. 9 out of 10 times. Is there some misogynists out there? Absolutely. Is there some sexists out there? Absolutely. But what you tend to do is you tend to focus on the 1 or 2 YouTube comments that you get that are genuine just trolls, and you try to make that into the main narrative. And that's not the case. People are mad at the way that you are introducing these characters. There's always been females in Star Wars. There's always been females in entertainment. There's always been females in anime, manga, movies, TV shows, and gaming. But the problem is the people who try to make that into this grandstanding virtue signal, they usually are the ones that are incapable of actually making a good character that happens to be female. The problem is that they make these characters with their diversity as the #1 forefront, and everything else has to follow suit afterwards instead of leading, right? Like, you can lead with a good story, you can lead with a good backstory, you can lead with a good character, and then just happen to make them diverse. But unfortunately, you are going the other way around. and it's so painfully obvious that anybody with a brain can see it, and yet you still want to deny, and attack the fans and whatnot. And this is why Star Wars is one of the lowest viewed TV shows. Even if they decide to do the binge model, it still doesn't help them. Marvel, Disney, all of them are falling under the same exact banner of just absolute ridiculous mediocrity. It says, ironically, Kathleen Kennedy has been accused of attacking a female creative and made it quite personal. Yes, she did. She did make it personal with Gina Carano, which is very ironic. When the company announced that it fired the Mandalorian actress Gina Carano, a spokesman said Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable, the spokesman continued. Carano has since filed a lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm, and in the lawsuit, she and her lawyers allege that Lucasfilm employees set up a GoFundMe account to support the transgender community. However, the GoFundMe also defamed her by accusing her of being a bigoted actress. Now, I am very curious to see where this lawsuit goes. I'm actually really excited. Whether or not it goes in Gina Carano's favor or not, I'm just excited to see where this goes, because I want to see if we can, in fact, hold Disney accountable for the obvious ridiculous stuff that they did to Gina Carano in public, mind you, after firing her. They didn't just fire her. They flat out defamed her. They really did. And I don't like to use defamation very loosely, because God knows there's certain people on the internet that use it loosely against me. I don't like to use it loosely, but what I will say is that they absolutely went after Gina Carano publicly after firing her, which is something that a company like Disney, for trying to be as virtuous as they are, it's quite amazing to see how professional they can get when it comes to going after someone in particular and really trying to bring them down in the public eye. They didn't just fire her. They tried to bring her down. They tried to make sure she was unhireable. They tried to make sure that they ruined her life. And guess what? She's just thriving anyway after the fact, which is amazing. The group has described by her publicist as a friendly group that want Gina to succeed. However, multiple employees that were take to part in the struggle session had contributed to the GoFundMe campaign, including Leslie Headland. The lawsuit states several had contributed to the anti-Carano GoFundMe account, including filmmaker Leslie Headland, who was scheduled to produce a Star Wars production. Now, is anybody surprised that Leslie Headland is now one of the heads over at Star Wars and is making a TV show? Is anybody shocked at that fact now? Because now it seems like Leslie Headland has always been a shill for Disney Star Wars, has always been a shill for Lucasfilm, probably a shill for Kathleen Kennedy, and Kathleen Kennedy being somebody who only wants to put people in positions that actually support her, which again, totally understand, but it goes to show that, yeah, this person has been doing this for a while now, especially if she donated money to an anti-Carano fund. That's ridiculous. Not only has Kennedy been the one to attack female Star Wars creators in personal ways, she also publicly admitted to intentionally trying to alter the Star Wars fan base. During an appearance at Fortune Magazine's The Most Powerful Women's Summit, Kennedy said, "I think the interesting path we've had is a conversation that took place around consumer products, because there are a lot of companies that were in place who frankly didn't initially feel that Star Wars was for girls." She continued, "And when you have a company situation where between Lucasfilm and Disney, we were all looking at this situation saying, no, with Star Wars, we have to change this. We have to make sure that we create products that are in a sense appealing to both boys and girls. What's wrong with that?" So again, ladies and gentlemen, she openly admitted that it's a male-dominated space, but when it comes to putting out products that she knows are not going to succeed, she has to pretend as if it's not a male-dominated space. She has to pretend as if, oh, we need to make it for girls. Girls watch Star Wars, all this stuff. And yes, we know that women have been in Star Wars since the beginning of the fucking brand. We understand that. But at the end of the day, it's still a male-dominated space, and I'm glad that they finally were able to admit that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.